Thank you for listening to the new and improved Planet Radio, the X generation of News Talk Radio. The Field Project is a part of the Amateur Radio Network. You're listening to the Field Report for May 4th, 2017. We're going to go right to the top of the news today, of course, the repeal of the health care bill. Goodbye to affordable health care. I'm not quite sure how much I want to be celebrating, but I think it is a victory in some ways because we have crossed this threshold. I don't know where all of you stand on what was replaced in Trump Care, Ryan Care. Somebody worded those things, but usually when Rand Paul isn't up there voting, that should say something. So, well, in some ways, this is a victory. I don't look at it as a victory as much of as a milestone, because I think looking at what we do know is that they've eliminated a lot of the healthcare plans that used to be in existence, and they're going to have to replace it with something else. And I'm not sure, but it sounds to me from what we've learned that a lot of these health insurance, they're running the other direction. They're going to have to come up with a whole different way to do healthcare. And I want to look at some things. I'm going to tell you why we do a lot of the holistic healing, because I do not want to rely on any healthcare at all. We got to learn how to do, as someone explained to me, health insurance is not for the people that are sick. It's a prevention. It's a way to prevent yourself from getting sick so you don't have to rely on healthcare. We're going to go into other news topics because I think we're going to have to touch on that over the weekend more. I want to get into other updates about the weather in Missouri and Arkansas and throughout Illinois. Now, these historic floods are far from over. I haven't seen any real updates. I will put some posts and more pictures up, but from weather.com, by the way. These roads are shutting down. I'm going to show you some images here too, and if you give me one moment, let me post them. Okay, so let's go ahead and look at these areas. Now, we're not going to just specifically just talk about Huntsville, Arkansas, but we're going to look at the totality, and I want to walk through some things here. Okay, so this report, it'll go into more specifics. Like I said, I'll put more links below, but let's look at the map. The superstorm has now been re-energized. This is what's going on in Arkansas. This is the flooding right now. These are some of the images from weather.com. And you can see, obviously, Arkansas is now really heavily affected. And again, I believe this is Huntsville, Arkansas. So you can go ahead and look through these, and then we're going to go a little further. You can see just by zooming into how much flooding that would look like right now. Now, for somebody that's not familiar with Arkansas, just imagine a community like in this area, North Hills in the Pittsburgh region. This would cover that whole area. Go ahead and look a little bit more into that. We're talking about the rivers, creeks, everything's flooded over, interstates. This is how incredible the devastation. It's widespread. So we're going to go ahead and zoom a little bit further in. See how much, these are areas that are in valleys too, so let's go ahead and look at this. These were images we actually had yesterday, but these were on the Weather Channel site where I found them. Okay, so look at that flooding. That was one of the images we had before, but it's a different angle. Okay, now I'm going to show you. This is, I drove on this road coming back and forth. So this is an interstate. That would, if you go further up, that would take you on to, same thing, Fenton, right? This would probably be in St. Louis because, again, you're coming off interstates. You're coming through those valleys, the mountains and the Ozarks, all that. So that's an interstate. That's like a main highway, and you can't even drive on that. Could you imagine being in any other city right now, not be able to get around? So I wanted to show some people on the East Coast what you're looking at if we ever have to come in and do any kind of helping. And I know a lot of people are going to start volunteer, but they got to know a little bit. They got to know the terrain and the weather, especially the Ozarks coming from St. Louis going south into Springfield, because between St. Louis and Springfield is, what is that area? Oh, geez, I'm trying to think. Fort Leonard Wood. I'm sorry. So for anyone that needs to know this area, we're going to have to talk more about it, because I wanted to show anyone that's watching these posts that if you are looking to help, just get familiar with the mountains between the Ozarks, because it's just like, it's there. You would never be, if you're not familiar with mountains, you'd have to experience it yourself. So just as a FYI, and these people need help, so we need to know what's going on here. Okay. And I really think we should talk about it more. I don't know what else to say. Every time I see these images, it's not getting better there. And, just to reassure the residents in that region, I know they're helping, but the thing is, they're going to be, I don't know any of you guys, but if you're outside the area, you can jump in and help at some point. We're going to have to find a way to relieve some of these people. They're going to be burned out and exhausted. This much flooding for this long period of time, it wears on people really, obviously. And then we haven't even really caught up with what's going on in Texas. So just so those people who are paying attention to the floodwaters and you want to help, just the one thing they advise a lot of people who are not familiar with dealing with these type of weather emergencies is that they don't want people just showing up. And that's one of the things that you really don't know what to expect when you go to an area you're not familiar with, and then there's floodwaters, of course. So I really I look to people who are already there, and that's why we want to raise money, because it's a lot easier to raise money and help people and get them the relief they need than going down there, ending up in an area you're not familiar with. I've done it several times. This is why we raise money instead. And for the cost of hotels and all the additional expenses, we could actually be just giving that money directly to the people they need it to give it to. I know people right now, who knows, they're staying in hotels. I don't know if you know, but 3 weeks, a month in a hotel, it wears on people. And we all know what that's like. We've been in crises before, and thank God for people who've been able to help us. But, it's not that hard to get into a crisis now. So while some of us are on dry land right now, it always comes back for you. So by helping people, we're really helping ourselves. We really need to see our nation get stabilized and to clean up, I'm sure. And there's just news stories that confirm we live in a different age than ever before. As we stated earlier in previous posts and just reading our Bible, we live in a different age altogether, the age of the Antichrist. And there's all kinds of signs and wonders. There's been weather events, and now even more tracking of asteroids. There was a couple near misses recently. And I haven't even really gotten there yet. So it's really hard to do all these reports because I didn't want to get into doing any reports this week until the weekend. But I just sensed that I needed to get on here and reassure anyone that's affected regarding the storms in the Midwest and the two tornadoes that touched down over the weekend in Canton, Texas. I just sensed that we need to just talk about anything. Like, I just want you to know why we're talking about the news stories, because some of you, really care about what goes on in your country. We don't want you to lose sight of what's happening. And, with all that going on down there, we know that some of you you want to have a little escape, go back to normal. So we're going to try to provide as much normal. That's so terrible because we're like the last people in the world to give you guys a dose of normal. But I figure for some of those people that are out there, maybe you could just be entertained by my great image work, which I recreated the Planet Radio to make it look much more appealing and entertaining. And of course, end it with some nice light music. But listen, if it's a little bit something different from all the chaos that you might be enduring, and, to make you feel a little bit better, some of you I know need just something different, a switch from all that, because I realize that a lot of you are fighting through some tough times. And when the weather gets like that, and days at a time, it starts to wear on people, especially when they're by themselves and they feel like they're alone. You feel run down, you get tired. And when you're by yourself, it's not easy, to go through things. So we just want to be a reassuring, I want to be reassuring to those of you that might be facing some tough times. Let's get into some more news on international news, that is, there was a brokering of the, no, I don't want to say brokering, there was a meeting between a boss from the Palestinian state and Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu. Now that's the label they have on it, okay? Just understand, I know all that, okay? But this looks like the beginnings of brokering that, quote, peace deal. So, you know where we're at. If you pay attention to Bible prophecy, you know exactly what's going on. If you don't, you need to start reading your Bible and listening to some of the posts and links and the information that I'll put in the description box below, because I'm not going to go explain it. I'm just going to tell you that's where we're at. I mean, when they start saying peace and safety, then comes sudden destruction. Are you shocked? Are you shocked at what's going on then? So I'm not, I'm concerned, of course. But like I said, we want to be as reassuring as possible, because, while we might not be able to save the planet, or we might not even be able to save the world, much less save our, I know Jesus saves, okay? And he's been in the saving business for a long time, and that means you would have to repent and ask the Holy Spirit's help, because there are things that some things are humanly impossible. And we saw images of that story of a rescue that occurred with 2 children that were literally almost drowning in an overturned vehicle, and the father and so many of these people just came out of nowhere. They start praying in spirit, and it's just incredible. If you didn't get a chance to see that amazing rescue that occurred in Canton, Texas over the weekend, I'm going to put all that in the description box. I just want to at least do an update for some of you who've been paying attention and want some updated images of what's going on. After a couple days, I remember over the weekend, I was just overwhelmed. I'm still very tired. I didn't sleep at all that night, the night of the 2 EF5 tornadoes. So I haven't really caught up with my sleep, but I did want to at least update you till the weekend, because I know I won't be able to get to a lot of this till Saturday and Sunday. And we do the court of public opinion as a follow-up. But I do need to do these updates if there are important news. I don't want to get in the habit of doing too many, but I know that it's important. I know that people need to know what's going on. And with, of course, today, the healthcare repeal, that was important. What that really is, have we replaced O-Care with Rhyme Care? I'm pretty sure that's the case. So, but I just wanted to update some of you who do want to keep up with the news, and maybe you are in the middle of an emergency, or maybe you just want to keep up just to keep up. Hopefully we'll do our best to do that, but we have made some changes here to Planet Radio. We have a chat wing for those of you. It's just getting started, so give it some time and bring people in, and I'll start tracking it over the weekend. I won't be able to do it too much because I'm doing a lot of the production work right now, but we made some changes for that reason, so that people can go to the chat wing, and all that information I put in the description box below. This has been an amateur project for me, so you'll have to bear with me. I made some rotation changes and some other updates. I will put all that information below, but if you want to become a member of the Court of Public Opinion, sign in and sign up to our chat wing. Thanks again. We'll see you this weekend for the Court of Public Opinion. Planet Radio is a part of the Amateur Radio Network. If you would like to become a member of the Court of Public Opinion, or just follow our posts, look for the information to sign in and sign up to our chat wing and join the discussion. Thanks again.